Have you hit a plateau in the gym and feel like your body just won't change no matter how hard you're working? The secret is not another diet or a special supplement, but a principle that athletes and bodybuilders have used for decades to build strength and to sculpt their bodies. It's called progressive overload, and it matters for women at every age. Today, I'm breaking down what progressive overload is, why it works so well, and how you can use it starting today to finally see lasting results. So here's what really happens when you train. Every time you challenge your muscles with resistance, whether it's dumbbells, bands, barbells, or even just body weight, you create microscopic tears in the muscle fibers themselves. These fibers are made up of tiny units called myofibrils. When those myofibrils are stressed beyond what they're used to, they sustain those small, controlled injuries. Now, that might sound dramatic, but it's not dangerous. It's just how your body is designed to adapt after you exercise. Your body goes to work repairing those fibers, but here's the important part. It just doesn't just patch them back up the way that they were. Through a process called muscle protein synthesis, the body lays down new layers of proteins, reinforcing those fibers so they're a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger, and a little bit more resilient than they were before. That's adaptation. And here's the kicker. Your muscles only adapt when they're forced to. If the workout feels easy, or if the same thing you've been doing for months and months, you continue to do and your body's not changing, it has no reason to trigger that rebuilding response. Your body's efficient and it wants to save energy. So if you don't ask for more challenge in your body, it's not going to change. And it's not just about the workout itself. Think of muscle growth as a cycle: stress, recovery, adaptation. Stress is your training, that's the stimulus. Recovery is where you fuel your body with enough protein, hydrate, and actually get some sleep. Adaptation is where the magic begins to happen, when those fibers rebuild stronger than before. If you skip recovery, if you're not eating enough, that cycle breaks down. You're tearing muscle down without giving it the support to rebuild. One of my clients, Audrey, is the perfect example of this. At 46, she came to me really frustrated because nothing was working anymore. She'd been a bikini competitor for years before, so it wasn't about motivation or discipline. It was about science. We shifted her plan so that every week she was either lifting just a little bit heavier, doing one more rep, or slowing down the tempo to create more time under tension. At the same time, I made sure she was eating enough protein to support that muscle repair. 8 weeks later, she was down 12 pounds and shaved 90 seconds off her mile time while tripling her push-up max, so lots stronger. She just needed to re-engage that cycle of stress, recovery, adaptation, and that right there is at the heart of progressive overload. Before we talk about how to apply all this, if you're a woman serious about getting stronger, leaner, and feeling amazing, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I share new videos all the time with practical, science-backed strategies that work for all women. Not gimmicks, not extremes, just results. And don't forget to give this video a like and make a comment. It really helps more women find our information. So, what's the practical application here? How can you apply progressive overload? Now that you know more about the science of muscle fibers breaking down and rebuilding, it's time to hit the practical side. What can you actually do in your own workouts to apply this principle? The great thing is there's a bunch of ways, and each one works a little different in terms of what's happening inside your body. The most straightforward way is to add weight. When you increase the resistance, you place greater mechanical tension on those muscle fibers. This higher load recruits more motor units, especially those fast twitch muscle fibers that have greatest potential for growth. If you've been doing curling with 10-pound dumbbells for months on end, your body is used to it. You've adapted to that stress. But if you move up even just a little, 12, 15 pounds, you're creating new micro tears in those fibers that force your body to repair, rebuild, and get stronger. Even small increases matter. For many women, adding just 2.5 pounds is enough to start that process. One question I get asked all the time is, what do I do if those 10 pounds feels too easy, but 15 is too heavy? That middle space is really hard, and it's such a common issue because lots of gyms and home dumbbells, they increase in 5-pound increment jumps. So the solution is something called fractional weights, those small plates or magnetic add-ons that can help you increase just by a pound or two. That way you, instead of forcing your body to make a huge leap, you can progress gradually and safely. It may not seem like much, but those small increases are exactly what keep your muscles adapting over time. I'll put a link to some fractional weights that you might want to check out in the comments below. Another method is to add reps. This increases the total volume of work that your muscles are doing. Volume is a combination of the weight, reps, and the sets you do, and it's one of the strongest predictors of hypertrophy or muscle growth. By extending a set from, say, 8 reps to 10 or 12, you're pushing your muscle fibers further into fatigue, especially the slow twitch fibers that respond well to endurance under load. That extra time under stress triggers metabolic byproducts, things like lactate and hydrogen ions that stimulate adaptation. A third way is to add sets. Again, this increases the total training volume, but it spreads the workload out more evenly. Think of it as layering stress on the muscles with multiple angles. 3 sets of squats is challenging, but when you move to 4 or 5 sets, you increase the total stimulus your body has to recover from. More sets also exposes your body and your muscles to repeated bouts of tension, which enhances both your strength, your endurance, and your adaptations. Then there's slowing down your tempo. This one is often overlooked, but it is really, really effective. By lengthening the eccentric phase of a lift, that lowering down part, you significantly increase the time under tension. Research shows that eccentric contractions cause more micro damage to the muscle fibers than concentric ones, which is why you feel extra sore after slowly lowering down into your squats or into your push-ups. That's controlled damage that stimulates the growth we're looking for. A squat where you drop down for 1 second and you stand back up for 1 second, 2 seconds under load, right? Well, if you take and slow it down, go 4 seconds down, hold for 1 and 2 back up, that's 7 seconds now of per rep, and that's triple the stimulus to your muscles. Finally, we can manipulate the rest periods. Shortening your rest between sets forces your muscles and your cardiovascular system to recover more quickly. While this doesn't increase mechanical tension the way heavier weights do, it does raise metabolic stress, which is another key driver of adaptation. Shorter rests also challenge your body's ability to replenish ATP, that energy currency for muscle contractions. Over time, this trains your muscles to become more efficient at producing energy, which carries over into both strength and endurance. Now, here's the important part. You don't need to do this all together or all of these methods at once. In fact, you really shouldn't. The real power of progressive overload is in the consistency. Choose one method, apply it systematically, and then rotate to another method when your body begins to adapt. That's how you can build a program that works not just for a few weeks, but can last for a lot longer than that. One of my clients, Kelly, is a perfect example of this. When she first came to me, she could only do 11 push-ups on her knees, which isn't too bad, actually. We started simple, though, because she had big goals. We gradually added reps each week, 1 by 1, until she hit a wall. Then we slowed her tempo down so she stayed longer under tension. Then we used resistance bands to increase the load. By cycling through these different methods, her body never could adapt. And a year later, she's cranking out 44 push-ups at a time. Not to mention she's lost 30 pounds of fat and has awesome tone in her arms and muscles. That's progressive overload in action. Small, intentional changes that keep your body adapting. Now, as powerful as progressive overload is, there are some big mistakes that women make when they try to apply it. And I want to save you from falling into these traps because they can stall your progress. They are frustrating and they can even set you back with injuries. So the first mistake that I see is what I would call ego lifting. This happens when you jump in a weight too quickly, usually because you want to see big numbers or you want to keep up with your friend. The problem is, as soon as your form breaks down, you're swinging the weights, you're arching your back, or you're moving too fast through an exercise, You're no longer targeting the muscle effectively. Instead of creating productive stress on the muscle fibers, now you're dumping that load into your joints, your tendons, and your ligaments. That doesn't just slow down progress, it raises your risk of injury a lot. True progressive overload is controlled, it's precise, and it's safe. It's about moving better, not just moving heavier things. The second mistake is overtraining. A lot of women think if a little's good, a lot must be better. Your muscles don't actually grow during the training. They grow during your recovery. When you push your body without giving it the sleep, the nutrition, the protein it needs, and the rest, you interrupt that cycle. Remember the stress recovery adaptation? This can leave you feeling fatigued, stressed, while stalling your progress. You may be working harder than ever, but your body is quietly stuck in survival mode. That's why smart programming always includes recovery days and sometimes even recovery weeks of reduced training. The third mistake is not tracking. If you don't keep track of the weight that you used the last time, how many reps you did, how long you rested, you're leaving progress to chance. It might feel like you're working hard, but progressive overload is only progressive if you're actually increasing something over time. This could be the weights, the reps, the sets, the tempo, but you can't know if you're improving unless you have the data. Tracking doesn't have to be fancy. I have clients that use a simple notebook, some use their phones or an app, but it's really important no matter how you do it. The fourth mistake is never deloading. This one surprises a lot of women because we're so used to thinking progress only comes from pushing harder. But sometimes the smartest way to move forward is to intentionally back off. A deload week where you reduce the weight volume or intensity by 30, even 50%, gives your muscles, your joints, your nervous system time to fully recover. Think of it like recharging a battery. When you come back, you're stronger, your lifts feel sharper, and your progress picks up again. Skipping deloads can leave you plateaued for months, while training smartly can actually catapult you forward. Let me give you a real-life example. One of my clients, Val, came to me at 59, determined to get in amazing shape by her 60th birthday. She had tried pushing herself harder in the past, more workouts, more cardio, less food, and each time she ended up exhausted and stuck. Together, we shifted her focus. Instead of training more, I created plans that had her training smarter and more efficiently. I applied progressive overload step by step and respected her recovery. On weeks when her body felt run down, we pulled back. We let her recover longer, and then after that, we're able to ramp back up. Over time, that balance has definitely paid off. She's lost 20 pounds, gained visible muscle tone, and feels stronger at 60 than she has in decades. Her success wasn't just about doing more, it was about doing it right. And avoiding these common mistakes is what allowed her to see that lasting change. So, okay, we've talked about the science, the methods, and the mistakes. Now, let's put it all together into a simple action plan that you can start using today. Step 1, pick your big lifts. Focus on those compound exercises that use multiple muscle groups: squats, deadlifts, rows, presses. These moves give you the most bang for your buck and respond incredibly well to a progressive overload. Step 2, track your numbers. Whether it's in a notebook, it's in an app, or it's just a note on your phone, write down what you do with each workout. The weight, the reps, the sets, even the rest time in between. This becomes your baseline, the numbers that you're aiming to beat. Step 3, choose one progressive method at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to add weight, more reps, more sets, change tempo all at once. Start with one method that you can stick to for 3 to 4 weeks. For example, maybe you're going to add 1 to 2 extra reps per set. Once that feels easy, then increase the weight or try slowing down your tempo. Step 4, fuel your recovery. This is the piece most women underestimate of progressive overload. Remember, training is the stress. Recovery is where you actually adapt. Aim for adequate protein, usually around 30% of your calories coming from protein. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and that you're hydrating well. Without those, your body simply can't rebuild. Step 5, plan for recovery weeks. Every 12 weeks or so, schedule a deload. That might mean cutting back your weight by about 30% or doing fewer reps or taking an active recovery week. That gives your muscles, your joints, and your nervous system that time to recharge that it needs. Think of it as a step back so you can take 3 forward, right? When you follow these 5 steps consistently, change adds up. Not overnight, but steadily. And those steady changes are the ones that are actually going to last for you. So here's the big takeaway. Progressive overload isn't about doing extreme workouts or punishing your body or living in the gym. It's about small, intentional improvements that keep your body adapting over time. And that's the secret to sculpting the best body at any age. I've seen it play out over and over again with my clients. Take Jessica, for example. So at 44, she was juggling a demanding career as a school principal and life as a busy mom. She didn't have endless hours for workouts. Who does, really? What changed her body wasn't adding more cardio or cutting calories lower. It was applying these progressive overload principles. One more rep here, a little more weight there, slowing things down and tracking finally. Over time, those steady improvements transformed her physique. She built lean muscle, leaned out, and even stepped on stage and won her first competition. Her story, Val's, Kelly's, Audrey's, they all prove the same thing. Your body doesn't need a miracle plan. It doesn't need a crazy diet. It needs a strategy that challenges your muscles in the right way, fuels your recovery, and keeps you consistent. Progressive overload is that strategy.